So much like his brother Pete. Just next to one Mako all day. It's just like him.
Excuse me.
Good afternoon. It's 4:30 p.m. Tuesday, January 17th, 2023. We'll call the City Council meeting of the City of New Ulm to order. Item number 1, consent agenda. Councilors, what are your wishes?
I'll offer a motion to approve those.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Item number 2.1, public hearing on the final plat of the Trail Addition.
Madam President, members of the City Council, Dave Schnobert, Community Development Director. This parcel of property that is proposed for platting is located between 229 Center Street and 228 First South Street. So that's south of Center Street and north of First South Street and east of the New Ulm Post Office. Property is owned I-2, which is a general industrial district. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval of the final plat with one condition at their December 29th, 2022 meeting. I would note that that one condition has been addressed, and so at the present time, there are no outstanding conditions for this plat. The plat involves a subdivision of property that is owned by the City of New Ulm. It would divide the parcel into 2 lots. Lot 1 would consist of 14,375 square feet, and that is the location of the city's bike trail. And below that is a major feeder line of our public utilities electric department. Lot 2 is vacant and has been used for parking in the past. And that lot would consist of 6,970 square feet. Lot 2 is proposed for sale to Clausen Plumbing and Heating, who owns the adjoining parcel of property. And they have indicated an interest in constructing a new building on that parcel and then on their property as well. That would conclude the staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Schnobert.
If there's nobody wishing to be heard, I'll close the public hearing and offer a resolution approving the final plat of the Trail Addition generally located between 229 Center Street and 228 First South Street.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I see a resolution.
Resolution.
Oh, resolution.
Yes. Director Jorgensen, please call the roll.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Warmka?
Yes.
And President Becker.
Yes, motion carries. Item number 3.1, appointment to the Airport Commission.
I'll offer a motion to approve the appointment of Tom Firth to the Airport Commission for a 3-year term ending December 31st, 2025.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion?
Yes, Madam President, just to note that because Tom represents our city insurance, we did have that vetted to make sure there was no conflict, and there was none. So just so that's on the record. And thank you, Tom, for doing this.
Thank you, Councilor Schultz. Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Thank you and welcome, Tom. Item number 3.2, appointment to the Planning Commission.
I'll make a motion to approve the appointment of Joe Schatzko to the Planning Commission to serve a 3-year term ending December 31st, 2025.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion does carry. Welcome, Mr. Schatzko. Item number 3.3, appointment to the Police Commission.
I'll motion to approve the appointment of Mayor Kathleen Backer to the Police Commission for a 4-year term ending December 31st, 2026.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion does carry. Mayor, welcome to the Police Commission. Item number 4.1, summary business conducted during board meetings and commission meetings.
Madam President, I'll go first. We had a pretty robust EDA meeting last week. We, as you heard in the past, we did bring in 3 new members, along with the mayor being new to the EDA, so a big change. Andrea Becker was chosen as our new president. We looked at some of our programs and we approved $50,000 for our current homebuyer program, a homebuyer assistant program. We approved $19,000 for our single-family rehab program. We approved $50,000 for our small business incentives, with potential of adding some more for that because there's been a lot of interest. We also approved the design for the child care center, so that can go out for bids. We did not, one of the agenda items was to approve a liaison from the EDA over to Newbrick. And since a lot of people were gone, we decided to hold off on that, and we'll make that decision at the next meeting. There's also some property potentially up for sale that the EDA owns at 318, 320, 326 Broadway. And so we're going to have a presentation on that in February. So lots going on there. So we also talked about wanting to hear from the new people what some of their thoughts were. You know, we've done housing, we've done childcare. What's the next thing that we're going to be moving on and looking at? So we wanted to spend some time next month getting their input on that as well as the mayor's input on where do we go next. So do we stick with housing? Do we stick with daycare? Do we do something different? So lots going on. That's all I have. Oh, and I do have the our Comcast, our NewCat meeting is this Thursday. We're finally meeting. So
Yes, I did look at that agenda and know there's important things for discussion on that as well.
Yes.
So thank you.
My report, short and sweet. Nothing on the Heritage Preservation Commission for an agenda, and Park and Rec had nothing on the agenda for this month. That's it.
Okay.
Planning Commission, we're going to meet tomorrow at 4 PM with the consultant and work on the comp plan, so we'll get an update on that.
And transportation meets tomorrow, and solid waste hasn't met for over a month, so nothing new to report.
Perfect. And I was not at the January meeting, but I did look through it for the EDA, but Les did a great job summarizing, so thank you.
Mayor?
Any other input, Mayor?
No, I have to say at the EDA meeting, it was interesting to hear about the ongoing projects. Heather did report that she almost fell off her chair when she saw the preliminary numbers come in on the costs, but also talked about cutting back on some of the items within that project. So it's an ongoing process, I guess.
Yes, it is. Perfect, thank you. Moving on to old business, item number 5.1, ordinance number 2023-069, second consideration of zoning.
Dave Schnobrecht, the city council conducted the first consideration of this ordinance at your January 4th, 2023 meeting. This particular ordinance would modify 2 tables in our zoning ordinance. Those tables are 5-1 and table 9-1. And those tables have been modified to allow wholesaling, warehousing, and distribution land uses as permitted, or uses that would be allowed with a conditional or interim use permit in the B3 Community Business Zoning District. As was previously noted, it was felt that these additional land uses would be appropriate in the B3 zoning district, and that additional flexibility with regards to land uses is also necessary in that particular zoning district. Now, the proposed use is subject to a conditional or interim use permit, and that allows another level of review and discussion as to what would be appropriate, on a property in that zoning district. That would conclude the report.
Thank you, Mr. Schnobrecht.
I'll offer a motion that we have conducted the second consideration of ordinance number 2023-069, amending tables 5.1 and table 9-1 of Appendix A of the City Code of the City of New Ulm relative to zoning.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion does carry. Item number 6.1, 2023 mileage reimbursement rate.
I'll offer a motion to receive notice that the city and the PUC's mileage reimbursement rate is increasing to 65.5 cents per mile effective January 1, 2023, concurrent with mileage rates set by the United States Internal Revenue Service.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye. Opposed? That motion does carry.
Excuse me.
Item number 6.2, adoption of Appendix D, electronic payment policy to the New Ulm Fire Department Relief Association bylaws.
Madam President, City Councilors, Joe Stadheim, Secretary, New Ulm Fire Department Relief Association. Before you today is proposed Appendix D of the bylaws. This policy was developed because the association is interested in pursuing forms of electronic payment for our fundraising activities. So uses of vendors such as PayPal to receive electronic payments as a way to receive those fundraising dollars that we do for our dance come August and September. Working with our auditor, city attorney, state auditor, we have developed the attached policy to really lay the framework of how we would transfer those funds from the electronic vendor into our general fund account of the association. In discussions with our auditor at ABDO, it was deemed necessary that we have a policy in place to have those internal controls of how we are going to control those transfers and where those transfers go to. So what this policy does is states that we need two of our directors of the association, one to initiate the transfer and one to complete the transfer, even though we're doing it on the same computer. And then what we would also do is sign off on a statement saying the dates of transfer, the range of dates from X day to X day when we receive those funds, and then signing off that we transferred those funds. All of this has been reviewed by the city attorney's office. Again, in conjunction with them, they assisted us in developing this policy, and they've also reviewed our statement form for transfer. So at this time, we are asking for approval to adopt this, and then we will begin implementing this as for our fundraising activities in 2023.
Before I even make the motion, anybody got any questions? Okay. I'll offer the resolution to adopt Appendix D, electronic payment policy of the New Ulm Fire Department Relief Association bylaws, allowing the association to utilize electronic payment vendors with fundraising activities.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? I just want to say I think it's great because you have to meet people where they are, and younger people find it, I guess, more attractive to put it on a card than write a check, and so I hope that is fruitful for you guys.
And I think some of the things we've thought of we're going to laminate our QR code, and so when we're out at like National Night Out or fire prevention activities, we're going to put it on the sides of our truck. It's out there. We can receive donations really any time of the year now, instead of just when we solicit during the dance. We can also look at putting it on our fire department's Facebook page and city website even, once we kind of get up and going with our PayPal account. So,
That's great. Well, thanks, and thanks for everyone who worked on this.
all right, thank you, Council.
Yes. Any additional discussion? Director Jorgensen, please call the roll.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Warmka?
Yes.
And President Becker?
Yes, motion carries. Item number 6.3, Fire Department donations.
I'll offer the resolution to accept the following donations: of $500 donation from Wheelberg Chevrolet and a $100 donation from Lonnie and Catherine Bristol.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Director Jorgensen, please call the roll.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Warmka?
Yes.
And President Becker.
Yes, that motion carries. Item number 6.4, DNR Trails Grant Application Authorization.
Madam President, City Council, city staff is looking at applying for a DNR Local Trails Connection Program grant. We intend to use this grant for to reconstruct a portion of the New Ulm Recreational Trail between 7th South Street and 20th South Street. As you may be aware, the trail is reaching the end of its useful life. It has significant cracking and separation spots and root intrusion and others. So the DNR program, it's a program really to help locals manage their trails, construct new trails, and one caveat of that is also for reconstructing existing trails. Staff feels that this would be a worthy project to apply for. There is a match. It's a 75-25 cost split. I would propose that if we are awarded this grant, construction take place in 2024, and we would bond for our matching portion of this grant. Grant has been worked on. Applications are due later in March, but working in conjunction with Park and Rec staff, and then also with the Heart of New Ulm as a project co-sponsor on this as well. And I'm in the process of working with the Heart of New Ulm coordinator to solicit letters of recommendation as well for this project. So just asking for your support in applying for the grant at this time.
I won't even ask the question to the city engineer, but is there a ballpark number?
I did not put that in there, but right now I'm looking at roughly, I believe it was around $230,000 for a total project cost for that portion. But I could pull it up here, but I omitted that. But so again, that's for that 13 block segment. But
I was
so-
just going to say, that is about the worst area of the whole
Right.
loop
Yeah.
system that we have,
Yep.
that stretch.
Yeah, the extreme southern end and the extreme northern end are where we kind of need to focus our efforts. And if we get these funds, that would definitely give us a good jump start on a portion of that.
Do we have a plan B if we don't get it?
I'll have to fit it into the future bonds. Yeah.
You know, I've walked that trail many times, and there's some spots that are really
Yep.
bad, but there are some spots that are pretty good, too.
Yeah,
So
it's-
That's plan B, is to go in there and just cut out those really
We've
rough spots.
internally talked about that, and our first goal would be just to
yeah,
reconstruct the entire thing, but it may come to that where we have to piecemeal it together, but we're trying to avoid that.
Yeah,
So
I'll bring that.
Would this be a mill and overlay or just?
what we were I guess we'd propose would be doing a full depth reclamation. So we would grind everything up in place and pave on top. The fear with a mill and overlay is that those cracks will reflect right away.
Okay.
So with the FDR, we should be able to kind of hide those a little bit and get a little bit more life out of it.
Okay.
That's a hard match, too, not an in-kind type of match.
Yep. Non-state fund match. Yep. So I can't use like state aid money on it.
Oh,
So
okay.
Okay.
But still, if it pays for 75% of it, that's a pretty good deal.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, I'll offer a resolution authorizing city staff to apply for Minnesota Department of Natural Resources Local Trail Connection Program grant and authorize the city manager to execute the application for and on behalf of the city.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Director Jorgensen, please call the roll.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
yes.
Counselor Warmka?
Yes.
And President Becker.
Yes, motion carries. Item number 6.5, Performance Measurement Citizen Survey for 2022 services.
Council President, councilors, before you have the annual kind of, do we want to do the performance measurement survey or not? We increased in 2019 to send out 125 surveys to each ward, so that's roughly 500 total. In 2022, there were 38 cities that participated in 28 counties. That's 4% of cities and 32% of counties. This is an increase of one city from 2021. And then at the end of the year, we just received our reimbursement of $1,900 for the survey.
And it covers 100% of the survey?
Yeah.
Is there a reason more cities and counties don't participate?
Right? That's not a lot.
No.
I'm just curious if you guys.
They may do their own,
Huh.
some other way, but
You know, I guess my concern is, being on council the past 8 years, like this last year, we never took any of the survey results and like an action item and acted, on any of those items really as a council.
But they
you know,
seem like they
forward.
have been pretty consistent the last, I think pretty much since we've been getting the results. They love the fire department and they hate the streets. But then there's also, I like the comments typically the most. There's always one who's upset about something or another, but you usually can get a theme of certain areas of concern. I don't know if there was a lot actionable last year. Maybe there was, but I know people like Ward 3 probably the most, but other than that, I'd like to see it continue. I think it gives us some temperature where the citizens are at, because it is random who gets them, and so we don't know who's going to get them and what the replies are going to be. We get little funding for it, so.
yeah.
And it doesn't take a lot of city time
No.
to, no.
No. And, one thing that's going to set this one kind of different from, other years too, is looking into 24 when we do our strategic plan. A lot of this stuff could start to feed into that. You can see those themes, look at priorities for the city, because a lot of the things that are questions that we asked on the survey are going to be part of that strategic planning process
Right.
in 24 anyway. So it's a good
We
foundation.
added some new questions last year. What
Yeah,
did
we
what did
broke
add?
down Parks and Rec into two separate questions. I can't remember off the top of my head, but we did modify those questions, but still kept it one page because that's kind of the limit that people will fill out surveys.
Are you looking at adding anything new this time around?
For this specific year, no. But as we get in, so next year in 24, as we get through the strategic planning process, tailoring this survey specifically to goals and objectives and things that we have in that strategic planning process to see how we're gauging on that. Because like you said, the results are usually the same year in and year out. We hover around the same marks. Snow plowing is, and streets are usually last, and fire department and police are usually number one. So.
How many responses did we get last time out of the 500?
Pretty well.
We do at least 25% return,
Okay.
but we do really well for a
And
survey like that.
do we only send the 500 because that's what they cover then? Or is it like you just randomly pick 125 from each
Randomly
ward
generated
and then, okay.
and send them out. Because originally, I can't remember what we upped. It was-
75, I
Yeah, it
believe.
was originally
We increased it
75 and we upped
50.
it.
Okay. I mean, I think it's good, and that really is what local government is about, is, listening to the citizens, and you're not always going to have people that want to tell you something, give you a phone call, stop by your office, or write you a letter. So if it's paid for, I believe that we should give people an opportunity to be heard, and this is just one more way to do that. We often get feedback that we don't always tell everybody what's going on, and here's their chance to participate, so that is my comment.
I'll go ahead and direct staff to proceed with performance measurement citizen survey that measures the satisfaction levels of the city and PUC department services for the year 2022. And to comply with the Office of State Auditor collection and reporting rules set forth in Minnesota Statute 6.91.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That motion does carry. Item number 6.6, Narn of New Ulm Fashing decorations.
Well, I'll offer the resolution to authorize the Narn of New Ulm to hang colorful strips of decorative cloth representing Fashing decorations on Minnesota Street from the south side of Center Street to the 3rd North Street, and hang colorful strips of cloth on lamp posts from south of Center Street to 3rd North Street in observance of the season of fashing beginning Sunday, February 12th, 2023, with removal Sunday, March 5th, 2023.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any additional discussion? We love our flashing. Director Jorgensen, please call the roll.
Counselor Mack,
Yes.
Counselor Christian.
Yes.
Counselor Schultz,
Yes.
Counselor Warmka.
Yes.
And President Becker.
Yes, that motion does carry. Item number 6.7, B&L Bar Alley closure, Bachfest celebration.
I think Rick has this pretty well figured out, how to keep that safe, and has been doing a good job of being respectful with that over the last few years. So I'll offer a resolution to temporarily close the alley adjacent to the establishment and authorize the extension of the B&L bar liquor license into the closed alley area to allow alcohol to be consumed during pre-Bachfest party on Thursday, January 26, 2023, from 4 to 10 p.m., and allow Shells to use a fire ring with coal and poke beer for patrons.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any additional discussion?
Is that date correct? Pre-Bachfest?
It's that Thursday that they kind of like tap the keg.
Get it going.
Bachfest is like March 5th.
Well, they go to a different
Really
bar
great.
every week.
This is just B&L's turn.
All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I make sure it wasn't a typo.
Nope, you're right.
Good
With
call.
the conditions you mentioned as well, right?
Yes. The conditions.
Mhm.
With conditions.
Yes, with conditions. Any additional discussion? Director Jorgensen, please call the roll.
Counselor Mack,
Yes.
Counselor Christian.
Yes.
Counselor Schultz. Yes. Counselor Warmka.
Yes.
And President Becker.
Yes, that motion does carry. With no additional business, this meeting is adjourned.